Well, it's about time I did a video about Star Wars, isn't it? So, as you can see, I got this massive shelf of Star Wars over here that's probably only a fraction of the Star Wars merchandise I have bought, purchased, and been gifted over the years. So I figured today, why don't I just talk about a few of them? This is one of my biggest prides and joys. I don't quite know why. I haven't even read it, but I just feel so happy that I have it. Don't let anyone tell you that money can't buy you happiness, because this bought me happiness, okay? It goes into detail about all the battles and stuff that happened over the course of like several thousands of years in the Star Wars storyline. It's great! It's just beautiful. Before I get off talking about more of these books, I just want to say possible spoiler alerts. Yeah. Some of these have been out for like 10 years, so I think I'm past the point of warning about spoilers, but some of them are new, so I'll just like put them in order that I talk about them in the description below. And if there's a particular one that you want to read and don't want spoiled or talked about that much, just when I get to the book before it, just like skip the next bit. Whatever, anyway. Then we have this book. I've personally read this like twice, and that's saying something considering the fact that I don't usually reread books or rewatch TV shows. Like, once I've watched it and read it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I know what's up. But no, this one I've like dog-eared up into death. Like, will it let me show? No, it won't. You can kind of see? Can kind of see where I've dog-eared it up? Yeah. This is about the Sith Darth Bane. It's called Path of Destruction. And according to the timelines that are located at the beginning of the books, that are legends and expanded universe that Disney did away with, this takes place roughly 1032-ish years before A New Hope. Basically, long time ago, there were Sith everywhere. There was as many Sith, basically, as there were Jedi. They fought freaking all the time. But then Darth Bane came along, and stuff happened, and he manipulated both sides of a battle, and essentially, a lot of Jedi went down, and basically every single Sith went down. So, he then makes up, you've probably heard of this, if you're into Star Wars, the Rule of Two. The Rule of Two states that there's one master and one apprentice, and the apprentice takes over, and then takes their own apprentice, and the cycle continues. I'm pretty sure Darth Bane worded it as one to hold the power and one to covet the power. Covet? Covet. Covet? Why can't I talk? So it talks about his studying, like, the dark side and going through the Sith temple and everything and learning a lot of Sith stuff. And I find it interesting because, I mean, hey, most kids' dream is to become a Jedi Knight. Mine's to become a Sith Lord. Yeah. It's kind of a lengthy read. Like, it's definitely not a book that goes by fast, but if you're interested in, like, Sith lore and Jedi lore and just, like, history stuff that's valid to the timeline, I'd give it a read. Darth Bane he's probably one of my favorite Sith, other than, like, freaking Darth Malgus, but I'll get to him in a minute. Also, Path of Destruction, that was the Bane book. It actually has a sequel, and I actually think a third book as well. The second book is Rule of Two, and it's about him and his apprentice that he takes at the end of the first book. So that carries on with that. I haven't finished this one yet. I need to, but yeah, I'll get around to it eventually. Next book, A New Dawn. Personally, this book honestly surprised me a lot. I expected it to be kind of decent, but probably not all that good. Brace yourselves, there's a rant coming. So, I hate Rebels with an unholy passion. Okay, I had been loyally watching the Clone Wars TV show since the 3rd grade. So when Disney did away with it, I was really upset. And I was even more upset with Rebels because I sat down and I watched the Rebels movie with my siblings, and I nearly cried like 3 times. Like, I teared up, man. I teared up because of they got so much stuff wrong. like so much canon and details and things that are already put in place in the Star Wars universe. They're just like, nah. And I know some people will probably be like, oh, you can't complain, you know? I mean, it's fine. They can do whatever they want. They did away with the expanded universe and everything. They're rewriting everything. Yeah, well, some things are just common sense. Like, there was a scene in the movie where Ezra, that annoying little whiny kid with the blue hair, he wasn't freaking trained, and he didn't even know really what it was, but he had stole a Jedi holocron, and he wasn't even trying to open it or anything, but he was just sitting there in his room being all broody and everything, an angsty emo teenager, and then all of a sudden the holocron starts floating and opening, and everyone's all like, ah, Jedi! And I was just like, stab me in the face, stab me in the face, stab me in the face, I'm ready to die! Because no, it takes effort. It takes knowing the Force and being taught about the Force to open a holocron. Some can only even be opened by Jedi Masters. They are so hard to open. So why is this stupid little untrained street rat, without even trying, opening a holocron and discovering his magical destiny? Like, I get they're trying to make it easier for, like, little kids to understand, but still, freaking come on! In case you can't tell, it made me really upset. But, you know, that's fine. Because, like, this book centers around two of the main characters in Rebels, Kanan and Hera. I say Kanan because Kanan Jarrus? What's his face? I don't know. I don't watch Rebels, in case you can't tell. It focuses around them and how they met, and they meet on a mining world, and she's already into super secret resistance-y stuff, and so they meet up, and they, raise the roof in a few instances, striking back at the Empire, and all that good stuff. It's well written, there's a lot of really witty one-liners, and just, I really like this book. John Jackson Miller, keep doing what you're doing. Final book, at least for today. Deceived. This book, it's one of my favorites of all time. Takes place during the Old Republic era. According to the timeline, it was like, takes place 5,650-ish years before A New Hope. And it was like 11 years before the Star Wars The Old Republic video game. It revolves around the Treaty of Coruscant and the sacking of Coruscant. As this takes place roughly 2,000 years before the Darth Bane book, this is during the time when there's a whole lot of Sith and a whole lot of Jedi, and they're fighting freaking all the time over everything. There's a rock on the ground and someone's gonna brawl over it. So one day, stuff happens and they're like, okay, let's go to the planet of Alderaan and make a peace treaty. So everyone's like, okay, let's do that. And so while the delegates and people are all on Alderaan, the Sith just kind of move themselves over and they attack Coruscant in what's called, of course, the sacking of Coruscant. One of the Sith Lords leading the sacking of Coruscant was Darth Malgus, another one of my favorite Sith Lords. As the Sith have taken Coruscant, Republic's capital planet, and established a blockade around it, it made the treaty taking place on Alderaan more in the Empire's favor. One of the delegates on the planet is this one Jedi named Aaron, and she senses in the Force her master's death, so she goes on this giant crusade to avenge him in a very un-Jedi-like fashion. As she's trying to book it to Coruscant, she runs into a smuggler dude. Smuggler dude's name is Zared, and that dude is in a whole lot of debt with a whole lot of gangsters and stuff, and he has a sick daughter back home, so he's trying to pay his debts. To pay off the biggest debt, he has to run a shipment of illegal drugs to Coruscant despite the fact there's a giant Imperial brigade. Well, he meets up with Aaron, and they decide to team up and infiltrate the blockade. They get on planet, and Aaron goes on the hunt for her master's murderer because she felt it through the Force, and she finds him, which is Darth Malgus. Yay! So there's a epic boss fight and stuff like that and all that Good stuff. I'm not gonna tell anymore because honestly, it's a good read. This is honestly one of my favorite books right here. It's so good. The character development is great, and it really asks the characters what they are willing to sacrifice. What is Aaron willing to sacrifice to make the world set right for her? What is Zared willing to sacrifice for his daughter? And what is Darth Malgus willing to sacrifice for the good of his beloved empire? As a wannabe Sith, it makes me so emotional. And anyway, that's about it for today. Hope this was entertaining or enlightening or something. Why am I even talking about books that I haven't even read in like a year? Oh god. Well, like, subscribe, comment below. Have a nice day.